welcome you to another live edition of the Sports Box, your go-to sports podcast featuring great content, conversation, and your occasional disagreement. Stick around to interact and ask questions. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
I mean, it might not be Sunday morning on the East Coast, but it's still Sunday morning for Drew in California. It is Super Bowl Sunday, Super Bowl 59, pregame on the Sports Box. Brian Tart, Tony Quigley, and Drew Trammell taking you wire to wire around the biggest game of the year. It's one more game to go to crown a champion tonight. Will we see a team win 3 in a row for the first time ever, or will we possibly see one of the bottom 5 passing quarterbacks ever to win one? We're going to see how it goes. Gentlemen, how are you?
I'm doing good, bro. You know, just hit a big milestone with the big 50 this weekend.
I was going to ask. I didn't know if you wanted that public. Happy birthday.
Yeah, of course it's public, and you know, we won't talk about it after this. I'll deny that I'm 50 years old to everybody listening, and you know, we'll keep it going like that. But that just proves that I remember watching these guys win, you know, 5 Super Bowls when I was live. So
sure,
Eagles fans still trying to catch up.
What's up, everybody? And all's well, man. Happy birthday to Quig. And yeah, man, I'm excited to talk. It's been a minute since we've done this in a while, so I'm excited to get into this and talk about everything that's going on around the NFL. But yeah, man, I'm excited.
Things happen in personal lives. It is what it is. We're back today. It'll be the last, I guess, pregame show of the year, obviously, because there's no more games to preview. But we're gonna get it started and go right into the meat of today's conversation, and that is tonight's Super Bowl. Chiefs and the Eagles. KC is a 1.5-point favorite. The over-under is 48.5. If you look at the money line, KC is minus 120. The Eagles are plus 100. This is a rematch of the game from 2 years ago, which the Chiefs pulled out. I think it was 38-35. Chiefs are largely the same roster. There's a little bit of change, but not that much. The Eagles have improved both sides of their coaching staff on the coordinator end. Still the same quarterback, but they have upgraded at running back. Not really surprised either team is in this game for different reasons. You know, when you look at this, though, I guess the first question I'll ask, right, is if the Chiefs pull this off tonight, they have become the first team ever, obviously, to win 3 in a row. What does this do, in your opinion, for the legacy of not just Andy Reid in the discussion around best coaches of all time? Where does it place Mahomes among the best quarterbacks? He'd have, 4 championships before age 30? So, you know, we thought that dynasties were over with the dissolution of Brady and Belichick. Clearly, that has not been the case.
Well, you know, Andy Reid's legacy, I think it's solidified as it's going to be. Great coach, awful father. You know, I mean, and we'll give him the credit there because he's utilizing Patrick Mahomes how it needs to be. You know, he allowed the growth of him, and I think a lot has to be said for quarterbacks who kind of develop under certain coaches. You know, we see a lot of these young quarterbacks just fizzle out because they're going from one coach to another coach. Andy Reid, you know, he embraced Patrick Mahomes and he let it become, you know, one of the greatest ever. You know, when you're looking at his track record too, I mean, everybody was all, you know, applauding Eric Bieniemy, and he fizzled out, you know, when every soon as he left Kansas City, right? No one's really talking about him being anything anymore. You know, so is Andy Reid tied to Mahomes' greatness? Absolutely, but you have to give him credit for being great. Kind of like Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson allowed the players to be great, and he didn't hamper them. And I think that's you know, that's a talent in its own right. So yeah, Andy Reid, great coach, awful father.
If they win today, I think the talk around town is about how Patrick Mahomes is going to be better than Brady. From some people, I think that's blasphemy. It's stupid. We need to see more. We need to see more track in the legs for Mahomes on a durability standpoint. He's got to get into the record books. A couple more MVPs and a couple more rings. But I mean, Brady stopped him twice. I think people forget that. Brady stopped him twice in the AFC title game in 2008 or 19 or 18, one of those years, and beat him in the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Brady's 2-0. It gets him in the postseason. So when we have these great talks and debates with Jordan, LeBron, and all that. They never had the chance to be able to beat that other GOAT. Brady did. So I mean, that has to be taken into account. I don't see that happening. But if Mahomes wins, Brian, I have him in my top 3 all time, arguably top 2. You can have the argument with Joe Montana or Peyton Manning, whoever it is, the case may be. Alex loves him. But as far as Andy Reid, I didn't watch that much in Philly, so I know that you two can attest more to it. Early, I remember him making it to the championship with Don McNabb and T.O. that year. But from an overall standpoint of Andy Reid, I've been very consistent on. I think there's not a greater play caller in the history of the NFL. What we've been able to see in these playoffs is taking Mahomes and making him into an RPO magnet. He uses the RPO like beautifully done from a technique standpoint. They know they don't have Tyreek Hill, and they still won championships without him.
Have not lost a playoff game since.
Yeah. So I mean, I think, I don't know how Quig, because I listen to Quig a lot, because Quig, obviously I'm not going to shout out his number, but he's in the history. He knows the history of NFL a lot more than I do. I just go by what I read and what I see. But from what Andy Reid's been able to do in Philly, and then to be able to take what he learned from Philly to take it to Kansas City and to build a dynasty, because I think this is the dynasty even if they lose, to be the first head coach to three-peat, the first time ever in the NFL history. I mean, that's got to say a lot. And number 1, arguably, I mean, a lot of people are going to put Bill Belichick down because of what he did with Spygate and Bounty and what are the Deflategate and all that stuff. They're gonna hold that against him and hold him against the fire. But I mean, I think we learned a lot about Bill Belichick ever since he stopped coaching. We see the savant, how good he is a defensive-minded coach. So I'm not going to take that away from him, but I can understand why people want to argue Andy Reid is the best coach of all time. I understand it, but I'm not.
I think that's recency bias. Andy Reid is the best coach of all time. I think that's really recency bias. Like if he got that ring in Philadelphia, then I could give you an argument. But I don't have him as best coach of all time. I think there's still some greatness that he has to achieve with, guys like, Lombardi, Chuck Noll, some of these guys. If you want to make an argument between the Belichick and Reid, there he is. There's my man Spellman, true Giants fan through and through. Great Eagles troll. I know you go on the local talk shows and troll them guys, which is great. But that's a great shirt, man. I hope you're going to a good party and everyone can view it. But yeah, so that's it. Yeah, I can see the argument of Reid over Belichick, because Reid was successful in 2 places, but I think there's still others. Bill Walsh, these guys. I think some lower. The guy up here, God's coach, Tom Landry. I mean, it's just really hard to compare a lot of these different eras. Coaches that didn't coach with the salary cap too.
Sure.
I mean, we had a conversation last night, Brian. I don't know if you heard it kicking around at the party, about the Eagles' great defense that they had. Jerome Brown, Reggie White, all these guys. They didn't win anything. You have Hall of Famer Eric Allen, Andre Waters, name after name after name on this great defense. They're maybe the 3rd best defense of the 80s and 90s. Never won anything. So it's hard to compare different eras. I think coaching is one of these direct correlations where you're looking at guys, have to manage the salary cap, and let's not forget, a lot of Bill Belichick's success is because Tom Brady took a salary cut. Let's see how great he was. Brady went and got the money and everything like that. So yeah, it's a modern era coach. I mean, Andy Reid is right up there. I think I could definitely get into that conversation.
To that point though, with him though, to be able to win with the salary cap the way that it is, and to be able to get rid of Tyreek Hill, to be able to get rid of L'Jarius Sneed. Those are 2 brilliant moves that they've been able to do, where he's been able to win without a 1K rusher and a 1K receiver. I think that's also a test to how good Mahomes is. It's really just, it's like putting 2 ingredients together and making a perfect soup. It really is. Like, it's just 2 guys that benefit off each other a lot. But I get your point. I understand where you're coming from. I'm not elevating him to be the best coach of all time.
I just don't like
modern
era.
He's up there.
I mean, I think he's right up there, and coaching wise, he's right up there with that. Father wise, he's up there with guys like Joe Jackson and was it Jose Menendez, the Menendez brothers' father. So I mean, so
Great
that
Netflix
he's
show.
a big deterrent. A1 piece of shit, Andy Reid, but let's just hope none of his kids get a DUI today on the way and kill anybody.
But I look at what I would say is this. I think with what the Chiefs have been able to accomplish, I really think that Spagnuolo's not given enough credit because they're not the offense they used to be. They're still good, but they're not that huge blow them out type of offense that they used to be.
They play mistake-free football, what the Patriots did in the mid-2000s.
That's right.
That's what it's what you do. You make your defense as comfortable as you can be from an offensive standpoint, winning field position and all that stuff. They know that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and what are the Kansas and everybody asks who's winning the game, who's doing this, who's doing that, everything like that. But you know what? It's to me, Eagles are kind of more talented on more different positions, but at the end of the day, the Chiefs find a way to win close games, and that's what they've been doing all season. So that's been my pick since this matchup started 2 weeks ago, and it's still going to be my pick. But I think it's just because the combination of Reid not making mistakes anymore, with his timeouts and everything like that, he's kind of involved, and then you have Patrick Mahomes playing mistake-free football. I think that's what, and he pulls it out at the end. I think that's kind of the same scenario we're going to see today. So if there's some majesticness like that, then that's great. There's some bets that I've seen. Eagles -1 in the first half, great bet because at the end of it, you think Kansas City's going to pull it out.
I agree.
From an Eagle standpoint, Jalen Hurts has not been the reason they've been good all year. He hasn't hurt them, but he hasn't been the reason they've been good. They've been good because they've run the ball exceptionally well behind the best offensive line in football, and their defense is much better coached this year than it was a year ago. Big credit to Vic Fangio and what he's been able to get out of those guys. Plus, in the draft, they addressed their defense and they did a decent job there. My question
give Howie some credit.
Well, look,
he hit the draft.
Well, Howie took the guys the media liked, and it worked out. I mean, that's what it was.
I agree with you're saying, but listen, the teams passed up on Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter should have been the easily top 5 pick if it wasn't for that whole car issue that he did.
Some teams don't like that. I don't care. Some teams don't like that.
So, but you know what? That's the problem, though. Some teams like playing in the Super Bowl. Every team should like playing in the Super Bowl. So it's a joke, like how like a guy like Warren Sapp slid, and some of these other guys slide. Lil Collins slid, in the 7th round because he was like, murder investigation. He's great for 10 years. Like, it's ridiculous because you're looking at one of these things. Be honest, guys, is the Super Bowl you've been least excited? No, absolutely not. I love the matchup. I mean, a lot of hometown flavor. Like, shout out to Isaiah Pacheco from Violent. Eagles fans are excited here in South Jersey too. I mean, why wouldn't you be excited about the Super Bowl? It's good to have and Eagles are a passionate but tend to be a little bit of front running fan base. That's why I say they don't deserve their one Super Bowl that they have. They were jumping off the Ben Franklin Bridge when Nick Foles took the reins and season was over and they're done, blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, the magic comes happening. They just won the most improbable Super Bowl that I could ever remember. And, but it's good that everybody's hyped up for a Super Bowl, what are you doing for the game, that kind of stuff. I like that environment. So I do want the Eagles to be good year in, year out. It's good for local businesses, good for the economy, So, I mean, I just don't want them to be better than the Cowboys, We can play in the NFC Championship every game.
That's become a lower and lower bar every single year. I've been waiting for there to be a situation where Jalen Hurts had to win a game for them, but he hasn't, right? If you look through the playoffs, the teams that they have beaten have done a very good job of beating themselves. And those are mistakes the Chiefs are not going to make, right? Turnover, from the kickoff of the Packer game, like it's been in their favor, right? The fumble recovery there, the Rams in the snow almost had them. The Commanders had no business being there, but they were there. Like, it's been another, I wouldn't say it was the road equivalent to their 2 years ago road because that was the biggest cakewalk in history, but like they've gotten very fortunate to have the road that they have had. Again, Washington took Detroit out for them. Tampa Bay, they've struggled with, Washington took them out for them, right? So they're here and that's great. I don't necessarily know that they've beaten anybody great on their way there, whereas I can say Kansas City beat Buffalo, who I think is fantastic. I just don't know if it came down to it. If there is a spot where it's going to be in Jalen's hands to win the game if he can do it. Like I think that they need to be ahead in this game by more than a score to have a chance to. I don't think they can win it at the end. That's my personal take.
But Brian, you're right. If they put the ball in Jalen's hands and they expect him to win the game, it's not a great recipe, right? But the thing he's been doing all year, and it's the very first thing you said when we segued into this, he's not causing them to lose the games.
Correct.
If you look at every playoff game, it's turnover. Whoever did that, they lost the game, right? It's very simple. No matter how good the quarterback is, Jackson, Allen, the team with the more turnovers, they lost the game. Very simple. Hurts hasn't been doing that. You have to give him credit for that. Now, we've seen guys, Jeff Hostetler, Phil Simms, Trent Dilfer, the list goes on. And arguably Hurts is, a talented athlete than all of those guys. They won because they just didn't make the big mistakes. And I think that's the case. Now, if the Eagles were in a one-score game and they need points and everything like that, they still better be running the ball through Barkley. There was a lot of hype earlier this week about Deebo Samuels wearing a AJ Brown shirt to New Orleans and everything like that. Everyone's like, oh, Deebo to Philly. Please bring Deebo to Philly. I would love to see Philadelphia waste money on a 29 receiver with 3 touchdowns, because you know what that means? It's taking the ball out of Saquon's hand. So if the game comes down to it and they have to give the ball to Jalen Hurts in a 2-minute warning, Saquon still needs to touch the ball 3 out of 4 of those times. It has to be easy throws. You have to dumb it down, because it doesn't matter what the stack is. Saquon is going to be the hardest team, whether they're behind or whether they're up. And if they're up, it's going to be dangerous.
Oh, I'm so sick and tired of seeing these stupid ass comments.
The funny part about it is, so as somebody who is a devout hater of that team and that fan base, I don't care how the Chiefs win this game. I don't care if aliens come down. I don't care if the ball is like picked up by a bird and dropped by somebody. I don't care. Just they don't ask how. They ask how many. So for me, I would love to see. I don't care how they get there. My biggest concern actually is, as somebody who wants the Chiefs to win this game, is an overcorrection by the officials in order to break the stigma of, hey, we're on the Chiefs side. That has played out in my mind, and I don't like the way that looks, right? If you think back to when they won Super Bowl 52, right? There were a couple touchdowns in that game that would not have counted at any other game that year, right? And all of a sudden they counted. It's like, well, that's a little questionable. My concern in this game, as somebody who wants the Eagles to lose badly, is that the officials overcorrect to avoid being seen as favoring Kansas City.
Well, I don't know about that. I think it's a legit gripe that the fans are saying you really can't touch Patrick Mahomes, and he's averaging almost 10 attempts a game rushing. You can't touch him, and it is really unfair. But I don't think you'll see the overcorrectness on that. I just think that you'll see any close call or any questionable call that goes Kansas City's way. Everybody's going to have the pitchforks out, and especially in this area too. It's always somebody else's fault. So I just hope it's just a good game and it doesn't get involved. And no matter what way the call goes, I just want it to be the correct call. Because I think that's important.
Brian Brown does not watch the show that much, clearly, because I don't care.
To accept the help of the refs to win a championship is a hollow championship. Earn it, not by flags.
Again,
players can't get.
Yeah, are you gonna give it if so? But if the Eagles get a beneficial call at the end of the game, are they gonna give the trophy back?
Yeah,
it works both ways. I have no other comment for him.
Saquon Barkley doesn't have anything. Has anything less than 30 carries, then there's an issue. He should be the game plan. He should always be the game plan. Can Jalen Hurts win this game by him throwing, which is going to be, it should be Spag's defensive game plan for heading into this game today, make him into a thrower. And, I think a couple of years ago, I'm sorry, what?
No, go ahead.
A couple of years ago, we saw Jalen Hurts be able to perform at the highest of the high. He played a great game against the Chiefs 2 years ago in the Super Bowl, passing wise, rushing wise. He did his thing. The problem is that he had a botched fumble that first series, and that really, if you look at the end of the game, that kind of changed the outcome of the game. Football games, especially Super Bowls, are summed up to 4 or 5 big plays that you'll remember. And like, oh, okay, well, I got this is it. This is the reason why. But at the end of the day, like Quigg said earlier in this on not this segment, but on this episode, the talent-wise, Philly's superior in almost every phase that you could look at from a position group besides quarterback. And and you can make the argument that the Chiefs defense really needs to hone in what they can do, which is, Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton is my X factor today. He needs to go and be able to stop Barkley, the ABCs and the outside gaps. Like, he needs to be that dog, because they didn't do that against James Cook. One of my biggest issues with the Bills is they stopped running in the fourth.
Absolutely.
So I mean, we're not. I don't think we're going to see that. But Kellen Moore knows what he's got to do. He knows what he's going to stick with. And but if it's a 1-score game and we're down, a minute 30 like the Buffalo Bills did, it's not going to look good for Philly, in my opinion. It's not.
Well,
because I trust Spagnuolo more than I trust Kellen Moore.
Well, I think the one thing too is you were talking about the talent. I think that one of the important parts that we have to understand is, okay, quarterback goes to the Chiefs, tight end, slight edge to the Chiefs. But people are underestimating the defensive line of the Chiefs too.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Jones is the best defensive lineman in the game. As you pointed out on the comment, I forget who made it, but it might have been Tom. Karlaftis is going to bring it to Lane Johnson every time too. So I think that you're looking at, that it's who brings it that game. And, I don't know. I mean, the Eagles had some issues on the offensive line with injury wise and stuff like that. Bad time to be facing Chris Jones if you're not 100%. And I know they've had 2 weeks and everything like that, but that's not easy. So I think that could sway the game. And as you're right, Drew, Nick Bolton can get it done against Barkley. He's going, I think that people are just, this is a Chiefs defense that I think they held teams to about 17 points a game.
Yep.
They weren't lighting it up all year. So, it's not, but they did look bad against James Cook.
They did.
And I think Buffalo, if they stuck with the run, then they could have did that. So I think the biggest key is Eagles stick with the run, and if they have to wait for that break, but it's not going to be easy. This game should be a really good game, as the spread indicates.
They don't want the ball. Go ahead, Drew.
It's going to be interesting to see the defensive game plan for Philly. For Kansas City. Kansas City. Is McDuffie going to be on AJ Brown? Is he going to follow, or is he going to be on Devontae Smith? Because remember, last Super Bowl, Devontae Smith had his game. He had his moment. So it's going to be interesting seeing what Kansas City is going to bring on that end. And on Philly's end, are they going to line Jalen Carter up on the 3? Is he going to be a 3-eye or a 3 or over the technique of the head of Jawan Taylor? Because we know that's going to be the weak link for Kansas City on that line is him. So it's going to be really interesting to see where they're going to line him up, where they're going to be. They also got Brandon Graham coming back today. So that's a plus for the run stoppage as much as you can be with the guy with the torn pec coming off the torn pec. But, it's going to be super, super interesting to see. That's what I'm interested in most, Quigg and Brian, is the matchups that Spags and what Vic is going to bring for both respective teams, because
but
I don't think it's going to be a big-time scoring game today. I just don't
you know what, though, Drew? Here's the stat for you. Talking about matchups, 0-7. That's a huge stat. Pat Mahomes against Vic Fangio's defense is 0-7.
That's crazy. I saw that this morning.
28 points a game against them.
That's crazy.
You mean 7-0?
So, what's that?
You mean 7-0?
Yeah, he's 7-0. That's what I'm saying. Fangio was 0-7 against them.
Correct.
So
I thought it was 8 actually, but yeah.
Well, maybe, listen, it could. I like your optimism, bro. But
I hope it's not.
He likes him up at 28. So we're talking about matchups, this like that. Like this matchup argument might be done because we see like 7-0 against a certain defensive scheme is a telling stat.
Well, here's
now,
a couple
different.
A couple numbers I thought were very interesting, right? So I was critical of how Jalen Hurts plays the game because I think it's just not the way to play football. Neither here nor there. A couple of years ago, he was effective when he was first read and run because he would decide if he was throwing it right away or he'd run the ball for positive yardage, right? That was what his game was. He has tried to become more of a patient passer, and it has not worked. And despite the fact that he's got that amazing best in the league offensive line, he is holding the ball way too long. And by the PFF, by the 37 quarterbacks, when he is pressured, he ranks number 37 as the worst quarterback in the league when he is pressured. That is going to be key in this game. And also, everybody talks about Saquon's numbers, and they're great, right? Fantasy darling, everything else. He had a great, great year. Over 1,500 of his rushing yards came in 9 games where he went up against bottom 10 run defenses. And you can think of those runs, those home runs he had. You can visualize them, right? A lot of yards get pulled up in those things, right? So I don't think a great tackling team like KC is going to allow that to happen. Not a very well coached defensive team. In the games against other teams that were above the bottom 10 in rushing defense, he averaged just 92 yards. So not to take away from a great year, but those numbers are gaudy for a reason. That may not. This is not really necessarily the game for home run.
I'm telling you. It's hard to, when you really get down to the numbers and get down to the matchups. Kansas City's got a guy, former Charger, Tranquil, very good at covering tight ends. I really don't see Dallas Goedert having an easy day today. So it's my main focus of this matchup is Devontae Smith or AJ Brown and whoever's on McDuffie, because McDuffie's going to cover that up. So whoever the receiver is not being covered by him, that's my main focus on what I'm looking at if I'm Kellen Moore. Because I'm telling you right now, this is not going to be a walk in the park. It's not.
Listen. I think it's really the key is the running game for the Eagles, and obviously saying that with Saquon Barkley is easy. I think they need to run Hurts into the ground too. They need to run like
yes.
Brian said, successful. Hurts needs to run the ball, and he needs to not run scared, not run like worried about concussion or anything like that. You have one game, you have to go in there and run. Kansas City, which struggles against quarterbacks, it's hard to say with a team only one loss, struggles against quarterbacks that are really mobile and can make pull plays out of their ass because they have a very good defensive structure. So that's what they got to do with key. Like for Hurts, it has to be Hurts and Saquon running around like madmen, and everybody else kind of doing their job, Is that because their defensive backs are white, Chris?
I mean, again,
Nothing's gonna be on them.
Look, am I biased? Yeah, I'm not gonna hide that. But I think that what Kansas City did to Buffalo was more impressive than anything the Eagles did in 3 playoff games. Because who they played. I mean, that's a great team, great quarterback. Again, if this comes down to Jalen having to win it, I do not think he can win it. I do not. But having said that, this roster of 52 is good enough that they might be able to push him over the line, literally and figuratively.
I think too, if you look at it, the Eagles started out 2-2, right?
Yeah.
In those 4 games, Jalen Hurts had over 30 attempts.
Yep.
Since that time, including playoffs, he had 1 game where he had over 30 attempts. Kellen Moore, they figured it out. So they have to continue to stay with the game. Drew, what are you eating? What are you drinking?
Huh? Water.
What cup was that? Is that some West Coast fast food stuff?
No, it's just a white cup that I had from last night. Chick-fil-A.
Oh, okay.
Chick-fil-A? I thought it was looked like Jack in the Box or something like that. We don't have out in the East Coast.
No, we don't.
Yeah, so I mean, listen. I think the recipe's clear, the game plan's clear. It just has to. Can the Eagles actually execute it, and can the Chiefs prevent it? Because if the Chiefs get up early a couple times, you have a big play. Like Fallon said, Xavier Worthy over the top, bang 7-0 after after they have a nice drive or something like that. Turnover's going to kill them. I mean, it's something that I don't think the Eagles could recover from because the Chiefs are too smart. The Chiefs' running game, though, has to get something out of the running game. I think when Mahomes has a good day rushing today, he's going to be running the ball around. But the Kareem Hunt, he's kind of taken over that RB1 role with the kind of effectiveness. Isaiah Pacheco has to get past his injury that he had a few weeks ago, and really return to form because he's got the breakaway speed. Since he's been back, he just hasn't looked like he has. He did make a big play to seal the game in the Chiefs, and how they've been using him, I'm not 100% sure. It makes sense, like they here's a game-winning play. They throw Pacheco in there, so it was a little interesting to see. But I think Kansas City is going to have to counter the Eagles' running game with a solid running game on their own.
Patrick Mahomes has played 15 games indoors. You know what his record is?
I'm going to go 12-3.
14-1.
15-0.
Yeah, that was close.
So
games
he's
where it's
7-0 against Fangio. He's 15-0 indoors.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating game from the numbers. But in those 15 games, he's got 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns. I think that's pretty good.
Wow. And if he has a hot start like that today, it's going to be tough for the Eagles.
But even that, I mean, the Chiefs are awesome at making mid-game adjustments. So if the Eagles don't have the lead going into the second half, I think that bodes really well for the Chiefs. I think they need to have the lead going into the second half because I think the Spags will adjust to it.
And that's such a funny comment that Eagles fans have to hear. Andy Reid with mid-game adjustments, which was one of his reasons why he got ran out of Philly in the first place. They couldn't adjust.
It's the most successful coach for either of these franchises. Before we get to some of the props for the game, do you want to make your picks? You can give me. You can take it deep. You can take it very short. I have a scenario in my head I'd like to play for everyone when you two are done, of what I would love to see.
So what the picks for the game?
Yeah.
Oh, spoiler easy. I think Chiefs win a close game. That's just kind of that's how they've been rolling all year. I think it continues. I'm going with Chiefs. Now the score is interesting because I can see the Chiefs winning both ways. But what's the over under 48.5, 49? It was 49, right? Did they come down?
I can tell you right now. Yeah,
Yeah. So
I have.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
going 48.5.
Yeah. So I mean, we're talking. I don't know. Well, let's get exciting. 24-23 Chiefs. Drew?
I picked the Eagles on Wednesday on game winning drive.
You did.
Now I'm
hold on. Drew, let me stop you real quick. I want to make a point about that, right? So we're all contributors to this great page that Brian Attard pilots, right? Game winning drive. I seen you guys post it, right? I went to my alerts. It said only notify of some live, not all live. So Facebook has changed the algorithm to show who posts when. So I looked at my alert. I'm like, I said, I didn't even see this pop up at all. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't really doing much Wednesday night. I would check these guys out. And there it is. I had to look at it and it's like, notify for all. I'm like, when did I change that? So it's,
It's unfortunate.
I predict that I have an idiot friend that overspent on block pools with little chance to be made whole.
We share the idiot friend.
I mean, are we talking about the same guy?
Yeah, that's that guy right there. Yeah.
It's that guy right there. He might look familiar. And we're talking about the guy in the green.
Yeah.
After
that's
go
ahead.
After talking about this game and hear from you guys and thinking about it all week, I said a couple months ago, I told my brother, that the Eagles are going to make the Super Bowl. I just think the Lions are just decimated and we're going to get in. And it's hard to bet against Andy Reid and Mahomes. Oh, I'm just really struggling with this. I think I'm leaning toward. I'm going to stick with my original pick. I'm going to pick the Eagles, and I think they're going to win 28-24 and get a 4-down stop with 1:30 left against the Chiefs. I don't know why. I'm just going to stick with it. But I have no money on this. This is the first year I have no money on the Super Bowl besides Brian's
The block
thing,
pool,
the
yeah.
block thing. That's about it. I'm too scared of this game.
So
Drew, as a poet once said, scared money don't make money.
That's true, brother. That's true.
I had a vision a week ago. The vision was the Chiefs are up 10 points with a minute and a half to go. And Andy Reid, who would just like to like twist that knife just a little bit, he puts in the Chiefs backup quarterback for the kneel downs. Now,
that would be epic. I ain't gonna lie.
That as a wrestling fan would be the best cinema I could see. Because
he would win another Super Bowl without having any influence in it.
Carson Wentz might be 2-0 in the Super Bowl. I like to congratulate him potentially on that second ring. I wasn't a fan of his first one so much. This one I'd be a really big fan of. The Eagles could absolutely win this game, right? I mean, because they don't rely on their quarterback. And for somebody who's a quarterback guy, that just blows my mind. But their offensive line is that damn good. It really, really is. And it might just be enough. And they won't give him MVP, obviously, because they can't. They can't give the MVP the whole line, right? But I look at them and, like, that is the weapon, right? That's what creates Saquon's holes. That's what protects Hurts so he can take forever with the Windows 95 brain to kind of look at the field. The Chiefs have the advantage at the two most important spots in this game, and that is head coach and quarterback. I have no faith in Nick Sirianni to do anything positive. I just don't. I don't know what he does. I think probably the least he does, the better it is for the team. Again, the Chiefs just win. They're a machine.
Quick, I gotta apologize to you. It is a Jack in the Box cup. I didn't realize. It's Jack in the Box.
That's fine. Listen, Carson Wentz was not the Eagles' problem.
I mean that would be like somebody's villainy, alliteration that you got going on here, Brian. But I don't know if Carson Wentz is that popular in the Chiefs locker room for the guys that want to do that. They don't want to see Carson Wentz out there kneeling down. I think they're just kind of
maybe.
He's on the team. He's not somebody that elicits a lot of support. So
no, especially after that podcast. Former Eagle players. Quick told you years ago.
I would love to.
We told you.
I would love to see it. Couple of the prop bets. Oh, by the way, question from Chris. I just saw the comment. Who do you think wins MVP?
Who wins MVP? I mean, unfortunately, it's just probably going to be a quarterback. So it's either Hurts or Mahomes. I'll take Mahomes since I already picked the Chiefs to win.
Chris, I'll take. I'm going to take Saquon Barkley.
If it's not a quarterback, it's probably Jalen Carter. If he plays great. I mean, if somebody gets like 3 sacks in this game and that's the difference, and then that could make the difference. It's going to be Mahomes because they're going to win, but that's just the reality of it.
And I'm sorry to give boring, commentary on that, but unfortunately, I mean, that's just kind of what it is.
And that's okay.
I mean, I don't know. I think probably Mahomes is the favorite, correct? Or Hurts.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
MVP award favorite right now says DraftKings. If I go look for it, I'm looking for it. Hold on.
Super Bowl MVP Patrick Mahomes plus 120, Saquon Barkley plus 260.
Mahomes. I mean, that's an interesting proxy. If you want to bet the Chiefs to win the game, I don't really see how they win it if he's not MVP.
I could. I mean, Travis Kelce at plus 1,500 is something I've been looking at. Is Travis Kelce to score 2 touchdowns today? That would tie Jerry Rice. So that's something that I have on my radar.
All time?
Yeah, for in playoffs, I guess it is. So I think he needs 2 to tie Jerry Rice for playoff touchdowns.
In case you're interested, DraftKings is even money on the coin toss. There's no juice.
Yeah, I mean,
usually it's like minus 105. It's even. They're both plus 100.
Yeah, I mean that's nice. They're not taking any juice from anybody on that one. Yeah, but he still could lose.
Of course you can. It's even money. You don't lose anything. It's a pure bet, 50-50.
My buddy does that every year.
Passing yard. My wife did $50 on heads. Passing yards. Mahomes over under is 253.5. Hurts over under is 213.5. Your takes on both? By the way, I like the under in this game. I'm just putting that under. My bet last year was Chiefs and the under. I am in the exact same spot. Chiefs money line with the under is where I'm at on this game. Because they could win by 1 point. Absolutely could win by 1 point. That's the game. The Chiefs are in those games. So Chiefs money line parlay with the under is where I'm at today.
Yeah, I'm under on both. I'm not, like I told you guys earlier, I'm not looking for a crazy offensive game from both teams in this game. I think it's going to be a steady, good balance of defense and offense and field positioning, all that stuff, et cetera, et cetera. I'm taking the under on both of these guys on passing yards.
I mean, if I'm going to lean with a little bit of over, I'm going to lean to Mahomes over 250. Simply because, like, a lot of people think that the running game for the Eagles is going to kind of really be impactful. If they get a lead, then Mahomes is going to have to throw his way out of it. I don't have a lot of faith in the Kansas City running game. It's solid, but like I said, there's no bell cow that they're really going to lean on, and they're always going to lean on Pat Mahomes. So I'll take the over 250 for him. That's what DraftKings has right now at minus 128 is 250. So
I don't have it up here because I was trying to find a way. It was just really annoying. But like Hurts to throw 2 touchdowns or less is like minus some crazy number. Like they don't think he's gonna score a second touchdown. I'm not surprised by that at all.
Well, it's also because they scored so many rushing touchdowns too. So
I was trying to get the exact. I had it. Passing touchdowns. Yeah,
you got to give yourself one of these cups there, Drew.
Yeah. 2+. So Mahomes is minus 174 for 2 passing touchdowns or more. Hurts is plus 161. Like it's just not even,
Still like common.
I mean, one's what greatest quarterback of all time, and the other one is an average quarterback, but solid football player. So
I think average. He can get to average.
Do we address this comment, Brian, from Chris?
Yeah,
Chris, sit Dotson. He will.
They don't. Eagles don't run a lot of that personnel. It's mostly double tight ends, so they really don't have Dotson in anyways.
Yeah, but the thing is too, if you throw Paris Campbell out there, it's tipping off the Chiefs that it's going to be a running play. So I mean, that's another
exactly
thing
that too.
So,
obviously,
which they should expect their running play every time anyway, but it's just a little.
They should.
It's a little too obvious.
Listen, that's the thing. Like defensively, I'm stacking the box. Make this guy beat me through the air because he ain't going to do it.
Listen, this is the one. This is the play that I want to see. This is the play that I want. Right? I want a. Kansas City runs the quarterback sneak, but they put who is it? Noah Gray under center, right? When they do their little,
just like the Eagles do with Goddard.
Yeah. So what they do is they put Noah Gray under there. I want them to do a little direct snap to Mahomes out there. I want a little variation of the tush push to kind of catch somebody off. I just want to see somebody do something out of that formation except just fall down. But I'll tell you, short yardage, Kansas City was excellent against Buffalo. Now maybe they had a little help with the spots, on that. But they struggled from short yardage against Kansas City. So it'll be interesting to see how effective that is.
Yeah, those are live numbers on DraftKings, so they're coming down a little more on MGM according to Joe. The rushing yards. DraftKings has Barkley at over under 111.5, Kareem at 41.5, Pacheco at 22.5. My gut when I look at those is I think everyone in the world is going to be on Barkley's over, so I don't think it happens for that exact reason.
Well, I'm on Barkley over 130, but rushing and receiving.
Okay.
So I don't care how he gets it because listen, I mean, he could, a little swing pass at the backfield. He should be having the ball in his hands a lot of times. So I'll worry about the extra 10 yards. But you know what? When you're looking at, he could take a swing pass 40 yards and hit that number easily.
Over on Barkley. I'm under on Pacheco, Brian. In the last 2 games, he's had less than 20 carries combined. So I think they're really going to be leaning more on Hunt. Like Tone and I said earlier, he's leaning more as the RB1 for Kansas City, which he's been a complete godsend for them since he signed with them back in week 4. Take the over on Hunt. I'll take the over on Barkley. I'll take the under on Pacheco. I think he's still hurt. He still needs to rehab from that torn fibula.
Yeah, I'm taking the over on Pacheco just because that number's too low. I mean, that's one little run. I mean, he looked a little bit better. I also threw $5 on the win Super Bowl MVP, little hometown kind of juice there. It's like 5 to win 650. So I mean, he is the one player on that team, and that's not a wide receiver named Xavier Worthy that can break it. I don't see anybody else. Hunt numbers, that's about right. So I'm not taking the rushing yards, but I'll take the rushing receiver on Barkley. And I'll take the over on Pacheco.
Receivings are interesting, right? So AJ Brown is the high at 71.5. Kelsey's at 61.5. Worthy at 56.5. Devontae 53.5. Goddard 51.5. So I think that they are looking for this to be kind of spread out. That Kelsey number seems a little low compared to what Zach Ertz did to this team 2 weeks ago.
Well, Jaden Daniels leaned on Zach Ertz way too much in that game. I mean, I think that's what inflated those numbers. He was open, but I would put a lot of money on Zach Ertz to outrun Travis Kelce right now anyway. So I don't know. I mean, it's it's interesting. I think these numbers are spread out because they really don't know. I mean, Worthy and Smith could hit that number in one catch, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how they are. The receiving core for Kansas City is just odd. It's like the Isle of Misfit Toys, right? You have Hollywood Brown, Juju Schuster-Smith, DeAndre Hopkins. They're not guys that are like old, but they're kind of past their prime. They haven't hit, like, it's just weird, right? It's just very weird. Guys have been successful in the NFL, but it's just like they're not there. And then we're looking at Xavier Worthy with the highest number. So, kind of scratches your head there. Just a lot of balls to go around. I would take, I'm not taking any passing props in this game, except I did put some on Kelsey 2 touchdowns just to see if they force him the ball a little bit in a goal line situation.
Where's AJ Brown? Is that AJ Brown or is that Hollywood Brown?
It's AJ Brown, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Hollywood Brown was not high enough to.
All right, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Under for everybody besides Smith, Worthy, and Kelsey. I'll take the over on all 3 of those.
What do you think the line is for how many more passing yards Mahomes has than Hurts?
Wait, say again,
like what's their number?
Like 1 versus no, you can bet, right? So it's a minus.
Oh, right.
So Mahomes is favored to throw more yards than Hurts. By how many?
I would have to say at least 60.
True.
I'm not good at this betting stuff.
38.5 is the number.
38.5?
38. So he's supposed to throw for more than 38.5 yards.
His over under, like he's supposed to throw that many yards more than Hurts does.
38.5.
Oh, I would take the over on that.
I would buy something. I'm leaning that direction myself, actually.
What was Hurts' number throwing? What was Hurts' number throwing? Passing yards number.
The first one.
213.5.
213.5. Well, I mean that's simple math then, I guess, sort of.
About 40, yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, yeah,
he'd be a lot more than that, Brian.
So Mahomes is minus 235 to throw for more yards than Hurts.
That's crazy. Wow.
That just seems like it's giving money away, isn't it?
You just got to bet double.
Can I ask? I want to ask a stupid question. Who comes up with the lines?
The house.
Is that Vegas like overall, or is that
people.
just?
Yeah. Vegas line makers, use algorithms to determine the probability of what team hits the number. They factor in hundreds of different nonsensical things, and it comes up with the number that's too close to call sometimes, and it kind of makes you scratch your head.
Do they come up like? Is it like averages they do like during the postseason, or is that like what they're facing matchup wise? They could change it how they want.
They massage it. They massage it during the regular season slightly, but normally it's just right around what their average is.
Gotcha.
So, I found a picture of Sidney Thomas with Livy Dunn, and someone says,
"Who the fuck any of them people are?"
Sidney Thomas is the hot chick that was at the Jake Paul Tyson fight in the ring.
Oh, okay.
Livy Dunn is Paul Skeen's LSU gymnast girlfriend.
Wait, what?
Okay.
All right, you're gonna make me.
Why is there no photo evidence of these people you're?
All right, I'm gonna get there. I was looking at it on my phone, but apparently,
picture the dude with the jacket on. I mean, we can get that too. All right,
it's coming. Anyway, the caption was a Chrysler 300 looks like a Rolls Royce until a Rolls Royce pulls up.
Depending on what neighborhood you're in, that's true.
Hold on. It's getting there. I'm loading it right now. There you go. So that's Livy Dunn on the left, Sydney Thomas on the right.
They're both hot.
Yeah, but Sydney Thomas is way hotter. Way.
The girl on the left?
The girl on the right is way, well, my right, that side.
In the black
what?
or the pink?
Pink top. Hotter.
Okay.
I'm going to disagree with that one. Just
Oh my
this
god.
photo.
Oh,
I'm going with the girl in the black.
oh god.
Me too, Drew. Me too.
What is wrong with you people?
I'm not crazy about
Different
What
strokes.
is
fake,
different
fake
wrong with
implants,
you
bro.
people? Anthony
Natural,
Francis,
dude.
Birds. Oh god.
But you know what? Listen, I got to thank Anthony for an amazing birthday gift last night. He was in the house with a beautiful Roger Staubach jersey,
Nice.
Captain America. I know. See, that shows you he's a good friend because it hurt burning his credit card to put that on his bank account, a Cowboys jersey. But
Maybe he's somebody else's.
that shows you a good man and a good friend, and can't be too appreciative.
Shouts out to Anthony.
So we got what, 2 Chiefs and an Eagles fan, or 2 Chiefs and Eagles supporter, I should say.
Oh, Drew. Well, Drew's brother's an Eagles fan, right? So
Yeah, are you compromised on this one, Drew? Are you?
Oh, in my heart of hearts, I'd rather have no team win. I have no dog in the fight. But I mean,
Listen, I was really rooting for, I guess now in times a plane crash into the link when the Redskins and Eagles were playing. I mean, that would have been my best case scenario. But it didn't happen, so here we are.
I was actually having discussion.
And I just had to watch Ohio State win a national championship too. So I mean,
Yeah.
it was just, this has just been Ohio State and the Eagles winning the championships in the same year would definitely not bode well. And unfortunately, it looks like Duke's on a pattern to do that too, which
They
is
lost.
also painful. It's not March Madness yet, though, Brian. You know that. And
No, they still lost. We take that. I was actually having a deep discussion about what 24 people I would protect from a tactical nuke hitting the link.
Yeah.
So look at how much good can be done, right? Anyway, we'll talk about some other news of the day. A look at the recent round of coaching hires around the league. Just going to touch on good fit, bad fit, stupidity in some cases, which we'll probably agree on. Ben Johnson to the Bears. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Oh, okay.
Ben Johnson to the Bears. Thumbs up, thumbs down. I mean, well, I'll give it a thumbs up. I mean, it's not a surprise hire. It's kind of an obvious hire that's what they want in that offense. So I'll give it a thumbs up. To be seen.
I'm in between. I'm leaning towards up. I'll just say I'm leaning towards up. I'm in between with it because just how much money he got.
Last time the Cowboys won, Belichick's girlfriend was not born. Yeah, so you would think, Chris, that the Eagles with all that time would have gotten more than one by accident, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. If it's been so long, haven't even caught up yet.
Yeah.
And they also had a head start in their franchise too. So and even if Eagles fans want to talk about championships, they still don't have as many championships as the Cowboys. So it's like you've been around 30 years longer, and we haven't won in 30 years. So
that's my favorite argument,
guys.
When they say that the rings from the 70s and 90s are old. Oh, by the way, we won the NFL championship before the dinosaurs roamed the earth. Don't forget about that.
Yeah.
Chargers did.
it's selective memory, and you know what though, that the ring that they have is getting kind of old too, right?
It is, isn't it? Yeah. Drew, I'll give you this one because you were very passionate about this one.
No, he's not a Hall. I wouldn't consider him a Hall of Famer. I know it's hard because my parameters has always been, can you write the NFL? Can I use his name? Can I keep his name out by writing the NFL? And it's hard to keep his name out because he did beat a 17-0 team. But he has no accolades, man, besides 2 Super Bowl MVPs, and that holds a lot of weight for me. So it's hard, dude, but I still think he's not a Hall of Famer.
I'm with you, Drew. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. And one of the things is too, like, yes, he's had some great moments where, first of all, They beat that Patriots team, but he was in the grasp, and David Tyree somehow made some miracle catch. So, okay, lucky throw. No, the throw to Mario Manningham in the one Super Bowl was phenomenal. But the problem that moves needles for me is like those Giants teams. They went on Super Bowl runs, and then they were awful. Went on Super Bowl runs, then they were awful. Too much yo-yo. You know, if you're that guy that's going to be that Hall of Famer, you know, you're going there and you're going to you're going to provide a nice consistency to your team. And here's the other thing. This is one of the things that's kind of telling that he's not a Hall of Famer. Okay, he's a Manning. He's Peyton's brother. He's Archie's son. He has all the push of the NFL. No one even said boo when he forced his way out of the Chargers, right? No one is roasting him for doing that because he's an NFL legacy, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. He'll eventually get there, but
I don't know that he will.
Even as an NFL legacy, he doesn't get the push to be there. But I think he'll end up.
You know what?
Unfortunately, but he's not a Hall of Famer.
Quig, you know what's funny is that when Ian Rappaport, I think Brian saw this when Ian Rappaport came out and he said, "Oh, shocker, Eli's not going to make it." He even went on and said he has no support. These next 2 or 3 years, these classes that are coming in, there's no support from his voting. So I don't think he's going to get in for a while. I honestly believe that. I also don't think, and before people call me out and clip this and say that I'm a homer, I don't think Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer either, but I would take Phillip Rivers over Eli Manning any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
I think so. How many players right now, active players? I mean, can you say you would take the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL right now over Eli Manning?
Yes, 1,000%.
So you're not a Hall of Famer?
Wouldn't you?
No, I would. I'd take Josh Allen. I'd take Mahomes. I'd take Joe Burrow. I'd take these guys over Eli Manning in a second. Not even a thought. And like, if you're never the best player in any season, that's a big thing. You know, NFL, it's the NFL Hall of Fame too. So basketball, there's like question marks here and there but it's the basketball Hall of Fame. It takes in college and overseas and all kinds of other factors, not just the NBA. This is the NFL Hall of Fame, and he was never the best player. He was never best quarterback in the league. He was never the best, anything in the league. He's got 2 trophies and a great team because of the defensive line, and
1,000%.
Give him that, but keep him out the Hall. He can be in the Hall of Very Good that I'm creating in Camden. New Jersey.
I'm okay with that. The Hall of Very Good. I'm okay with that.
Brian Schottenheimer is the newest ventriloquist doll in Dallas.
Ventriloquist doll.
I don't know if I don't know if that's the right prop to say, but Brian, I think this shows with the hiring of the Arizona offensive line coach Schottenheimer. They're at least saying, if they are ventriloquist dolls with puppets, they're saying the right thing about committing to the run, putting everybody in place to run the ball, being more run centric. I think that's the way to go. I supported anybody who's not Mike McCarthy in the hiring, but this was This was announced 12 o'clock midnight on a Saturday.
There's a reason for that.
Exactly. Normally, if Jerry wanted to make a splash with Dion or somebody like that, it would have been yesterday, right? Let's steal some thunder for the Super Bowl and everybody talking about it.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's okay. I'm not mad at it. Let's just get that O-line ready to go, run the ball, and see what happens.
I don't know how you two would feel about this, but I do feel that this move, it kind of reminds me of like, let's just get through this year. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just get through this year because I have my eyes set on 26. I have my eyes set on the draft that's coming in, which is going to be far superior than what we're going to have this April, right? From a talent perspective, from a quarterback perspective, from any perspective, there's way more talent in 26, and also in 27. So let's just get through this year with a guy like Schottenheimer, and then let's go get our big dog in 26. That's how I feel about it. I don't know how you two feel about it, but that's just like it's like a transition type of thing. Like when the Texans.
Dog,
I don't know what big dog you would go for from a head coach standpoint.
I mean, I could see
might be someone that come out that might be a big dog.
But you know what? I mean, if Schottenheimer gets results, they run the ball and they
Oh no, I
win the
agree with
NFC
you.
East again. You
I agree
keep
with
them,
you.
right? Like
I agree with you. I'm
I
not
just don't like
I'm not
that.
with that.
I like that he doesn't have too many perceived notions coming on him, and he more committed to the run, and we'll see. And it's just good to get that Mike McCarthy stench off of the Cowboys a little bit, get the defense
Yeah.
healthy, run the ball, that kind
You
of
know what I
stuff.
thought was hysterical is people have been bashing Mike McCarthy for like 3 years. And then all of a sudden, when the Cowboys are going in a different direction, oh, you can't. He's a Super Bowl winning coach. Can't move on from him. It's like it doesn't matter what they do.
He had a lot of interviews. I was shocked by how many interviews he had.
Yeah, he didn't get a job though.
No, he declined.
Yeah, sure.
Because
I would
they
decline.
heard
I would decline
he
too.
wasn't. They heard he wasn't interested, and it's like, oh, I like this girl. Well, she doesn't like you. All right, well, I don't like her anyway. Like it's one of them things,
That
He
bitch.
got he said he wasn't going to the prom before he could get shot down by asking the girl to the prom.
Yeah. Liam Cohen in Jacksonville, leaving Tampa Bay, kind of like the Baltimore Colts left Baltimore.
What a clown!
That dude is a clown, bro.
I listen. I know you're a Trevor Lawrence apologist, Brian. I think that he's regressed, but what he's been going through in Jacksonville has been a circus.
Mhm.
It's one of those things where it's just like I said, I gave Andy Reid credit for Patrick Mahomes, but staying there, the guys in Jacksonville just have just did Trevor Lawrence just a disservice, and he's not performing on the field, so ultimately it falls on his shoulders. But they're not giving him the tools to succeed. Now, Brian Thomas Jr. is phenomenal, but at the same time, he looked phenomenal with Mac. So it's like it's just this carousel coaches, just and Liam Cohen, really, that's going to be your savior? I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm giving this that. Not because of Liam Cohen, just because of the Jacksonville Jaguars franchise. Their owners, he sucks ass. Doesn't know how to have any stability for that franchise whatsoever. And good luck to Trevor Lawrence and company, man, because I just don't. You have to prove in a lot of areas in order to be successful. And I'm with Quig. I think Lawrence has regressed, but he still has the talent to be in the top 10. So let's see what he can do with a full off season and a new head coach.
Pete Carroll in Vegas.
I mean, we don't figure somebody that old would be hanging out in Vegas, besides pissing himself on a slot machine. But okay, I mean, listen, Pete Carroll's is a charismatic guy, NFL legacy nonsense, but you're Brady hire, gets a name in there. They got to rebuild, so I guess why not Carroll? It's like okay. So
yeah, he's the perfect guy for it, Quig. I mean, he's the perfect guy to rebuild it. And that franchise has been down in the dumps for years. I mean, you go from McDaniels and Pierce and Gruden. I mean, you got to get a guy that's a player's coach and knows what he's doing, how to build a foundation. I hate it for the Chargers because I think this is a good signing from the Brady. I guess you could call it the Brady era.
Well,
but yeah.
Well, one of the things though, I don't think this really. I mean, the building of the team and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if it really has a lot more to do that than actually give the team an identity. Carroll's going to be the face of the Raiders. They don't have a quarterback to be the face of their team. They don't have anybody to be the face of their team. Now Pete Carroll steps in. Who?
Crosby. Max Crosby.
To an extent, but they love
him. They love him.
They love him. They love his story. They love the tattoos.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's really outside of that. Like normally defensive ends aren't really the ones that are pushing the needle on your team. So I think Carroll is the one that is kind of gives them an identity to an extent.
That's a fair point.
For the public to identify. He has the winning record, and maybe could get some respect in the locker room.
Vrabel.
What's the next one?
Mike Vrabel.
Phenomenal. I don't think there's. I think it's a great fit. Obvious. Drake
Perfect.
may get him some
Perfect.
weapons. Vrabel will be good.
Yep. Also, I know a lot of people are not going to like it, but sometimes we've been on the show. We said that sometimes you're better off being a coordinator than a head coach. Josh McDaniels is a beautiful hire. Beautiful hire.
Yeah.
Knows his system. Doesn't have to be a head coach. Just focus on the offense and make Drake May better. Because if we remember, Josh McDaniels was able to get Mac Jones to get the most out of him. So I mean, it's I can see this working in New England. So I love that hire for Mike.
Aaron Glenn. I don't really know. I don't know.
I think this is
Detroit's defense wasn't that good, right? I mean, I don't know.
For what they had, he was they lost like 10 starters. The guy, he did the most he could do.
You know, the thing is though, Aaron Glenn is another face, of the franchise kind of hire. I mean, they just announced that Aaron Rodgers isn't returning back there. They don't want him.
Great move.
Informed he's not returning. Aaron Glenn, all-pro player with the Jets. They need to get it turned around. They need to get it turned around big time, and they're just basically doing it with one of their own who has some credibility coming off of a team in Detroit.
This is apparently Kellen Moore's last game in Philadelphia. He's supposed to take over the head coaching job in New Orleans, which is basically hell to begin with.
Well,
he won't have to travel far. I mean, I think him traveling without the team and taking a U-Haul to New Orleans might have been a tell, but I don't about him taking the Saints job. But I don't know. Okay. Saints need a lot of help down there. They don't have a quarterback identity. Spencer Rattler's not going to be it. If they're going to stay with Carr for long term, I don't know. If Moore does what he can and gets the most out of Kamara, gets the most out of their tough running back situation, okay. But the division isn't difficult that he's going to, so we'll see. But he's done a great job in Philadelphia, so I guess it's the time to go.
This is the most idiotic move out of all the head coaches for a head coach to pick, not for the team. Kellen Moore should have stayed in Philly. I think there's no future in New Orleans. You don't have a stability at quarterback. You're going to probably release Carr, and you're going to have to find a trade for Kamara because what's been the talk has been this entire past month. There's no future from a cap room perspective. Even yourself, Brian, you couldn't help that team and the future, what they needed to do to get under the cap. They haven't been under the cap since 2013, I believe. So from like when starting to the offseason, it's they could have easily fixed their team woes once Drew Brees played that last game in the divisional round. They could have taken these years and fixed the finances and fixed their future. But Mickey Loomis, who I think is one of the worst GMs in the NFL, wanted to play by his pride and make something happen. And now you're left with this. You left the city with no future. There's no quarterback stability, like I said. Kellen Moore loves his quarterbacks. He doesn't have one. And it's a really bad – I think it's a really bad decision by the 36-year-old. I really do.
I don't normally get to play this little video, but I'm going to take my time.
We have breaking news here on the Sports Box.
I mean, it broke like 2 hours ago, but I'm using it anyway. So the Jets have informed Aaron Rodgers that they are going in a different direction at quarterback, which is confirmation of what many people thought, but they made it official a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
I mean, it's the right thing to do. I mean, somebody earlier in the episode asked if Rodgers was going to follow Favre's path and go to Minnesota, which that's absolutely probably not going to happen. Rodgers has no history of working well with young quarterbacks, and that's what they're going to need. So they'd rather try to see the Sam Darnold and keep that success going if they are going to still wait on JJ. But obvious move, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's one of them things where, okay, they don't have Aaron Rodgers, but now they don't have anybody. So was Aaron Rodgers the answer there? Didn't appear to be. But you know what? They don't have any other answers. So, good luck with what you wish for.
it's the right move for Aaron Glenn and company. It's too much of a distraction to deal with Aaron Rodgers in this day and age. I think he's worse than Brett Favre when Brett Favre wanted to get out and want to come back and be a diva. I think it's just too much. As far as what I think the Jets should do quarterback wise, I have no idea.
No, neither.
There's a couple guys out there that are free agents. Do they make an impact? No. I'm thinking of Kirk Cousins or Russ. I don't know anybody else that can make an impact on the Jets on a play in that position and dealing with all that scrutiny. I don't know what they're going to do from that standpoint. For Aaron Rodgers, I think it's probably like 80-20. He's leaning on retirement. If I was him, I wouldn't want to go out like that. This last year, it was absolutely miserable. I don't think it's all on him. I think he's coming back from a devastating injury. He had a lot of rust, and he had a really bad line. What spot could he go to make an impact? He has a house. He has land in Tennessee. No impact there. The Raiders, maybe. San Francisco's got Brock Purdy. I don't know. I don't really see a destination. I'll stick with my prediction. I think he should. I think the Miami Dolphins should have a serious conversation about it because I'm not a big Tua guy, and I think he can make an impact in Miami. But other than that, what other team can he go to? I really don't see one. I don't think he wants to go to New Orleans. That's terrible. I don't know.
Could he stay in the building?
What do you mean?
Crossover to the Giants?
That's a good one. I didn't think about that one. That's actually probably his most realistic spot to go to.
I don't know.
Under Dabble?
You got some pieces I got a couple pieces to work.
The Giants didn't want Saquon Barkley in a much better situation physically than they would want. Why would they want Aaron Rodgers? You might as well just continue to tank, get as low as you could possibly be in the draft. I mean, the worst thing Aaron Rodgers could do is make you win a couple more games that you probably had no business winning. So, I don't see a value there. From me, what I would do, Aaron Rodgers, take a step back, see what injuries fold, early in the season, this, that, and the other thing, stay in shape, and then try to get in the best situation to kind of have have something in your career. Take, injury to a guy like Bo Nix or something like that. Aaron Rodgers goes in there with a good defense, kind of speak. Miami's another good spot. Tua, why am I going to sign with the New York Jets New York Giants when Tua is a concussion away from missing the season, and then you slide, and then I'm able to slide there. So I might want to keep my options open a little bit at this stage in my career if I'm Rodgers. You might cost yourself a couple dollar signs because the in-season contracts are a little bit less than what you would what you do, but you're getting a better situation. And I think right now what Rodgers is, you gotta give the Jets credit. They did try to get a good situation for him with Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams. But I think a lot of it was Aaron Rodgers' personality and the new coaching change.
Corey, that's a great point. And also I would like to say San Francisco would be a good spot for him. Just I'm thinking of O-lines and how good O-line could be. He needs that. So San Francisco, another team here, Brian. I just thought about it in my head. I know one of my good friends is going to hate it, but I'm going to say it. What about the Colts? That's a good O-line.
I was thinking about it.
Par for their course, right? Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers,
all par for course.
Old retreads, Flacco.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins is the one that's going to be the most interesting for me where he's going to go.
Yeah, that's an interesting one too. I completely agree with that one. I want to touch on the NFL honors, see if we think the right people won the awards. I think we're probably all going to agree that Jaden Daniels was the correct pick for Rookie of the Year offensively. To take that team as far as they went, they had a good offseason. And again, this is the worst they're going to be.
And in the playoff game, he stopped playing and doing the things that made him win that award in all those games. But
against Philly,
that was weird performance.
Very weird
against Philly.
Yeah,
very weird.
Defensive Rookie of the Year, edge rusher Jared Verse of the Rams, and not one of the Eagles, who I kept hearing all year were going to win defensive player.
I like the Verse pick. I think he made the impact. I mean, Quinyon Mitchell maybe deserves it. He got a little bit banged up, but Verse is fine. I mean, I don't see, it's not an extreme surprise. I think people could like one or the other, but both could have deserved it.
Yeah, not a crazy debate for me. I understand why Mitchell could. I easily could have seen both of them share it. Quentin Mitchell was a beast. I mean, for what he was able to do, I think he was number 2 in PFF ratings for his position. I might be wrong on that, but I don't remember. But I love Jared Verse. So this was a great pick by the Rams, and also I had no issue with it, Brian.
Yeah. Offensive Player of the Year, Saquon Barkley again. I think he was never going to win MVP because he's running back, but this award makes sense given the numbers he put up.
Yeah, it was easy. I mean, I could see Lamar Jackson getting this award since he didn't get the MVP because he did some stuff that just the NFL hasn't seen before either. Saquon deserves it too. Been a few years since Offensive Player of the Year has won a Super Bowl. I think that was Cooper Kupp last time that was done. But I think Barkley. No growth from there. Definitely no shot at the MVP though.
I wish Brian. I wish Joe Burrow had more votes though for Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, that's
or Jamar Chase.
Chase is probably the one where
triple
you're
crown. Triple crown.
Yeah.
Team success is the factor on that, though.
I know.
People thought that Surtain might not be.
This is crazy. This was crazy.
Your thoughts here?
Best player on a good defense, I guess that's what they're going with. But I mean, it's hard to factor in some of the things that they do. Surtain's great, but I don't.
Who did you have, Quig? Was there a guy in your mind that really spot out?
No, there wasn't anybody. That's what I'm saying. I'm not like overly upset about this, but like I didn't have anybody that I could say that like, oh, they got certainly robbed about it.
Mine was Hubbard for the Bengals. I mean, he had almost 20 sacks.
And,
Hendrickson.
Hendrickson. But that's again team success.
I know, but it's defensive.
It's crazy because like you say, like Burrow phenomenal, Chase phenomenal, Hendricks phenomenal, and they just weren't good. They weren't really good enough to win awards, and that I could say it. Same thing with some of the other guys. Like some of the really great defensive performers just didn't quantify winning awards because of the team performance.
I agree.
Comeback Player of the Year was given to Joe Burrow coming off the injury. Just an unbelievable offensive year. If they got any kind of defensive stop, I mean, there were a couple games too they lost like by just a coin flip at the end. I mean, that should have been a playoff team. But
this is where they changed the caveat, right? That you have to be coming back from injury, not just.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought it was.
I believe that to be the case. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they changed it. They actually changed the rule where you have to be coming back from injury. So, yeah.
I think honestly, Brian, I think this decision was stupid. I understand why. I get it, but if we're going to talk about team success, but I know it's Comeback Player of the Year, it's a different thing for people to come back from injuries. I really thought J.K. should have gotten this, and I know I'm being a homer a little bit, but for what that young man has gone through with a torn Achilles, a torn ACL, 3 straight years. And to come back and be almost 1,000-yard rusher is just I just for him being third in voting it sucks because I thought he deserved a little bit more credit than that.
Who was number 2?
I forgot who it was. I couldn't tell you, but I knew he was 3.
If you take out the injury situation, I mean Sam Darnold should deserve for team success.
Oh, he was number 2. Darnold was 2.
Was he? So that's what I said. Like I said, I thought it was off of injury, but maybe did he get hurt at the end of the year? I don't know. I don't think it was relevant enough. But yeah.
I mean, Coach of the Year, I thought could have gone a couple different directions, but I mean, really, when you compare where the teams ended up versus their preseason expectations. I mean, the Vikings blew it away.
I disagree with this one 100%.
Who would you give it to?
Dan Campbell. Dan
Yeah,
Campbell,
Dan Campbell.
I think. Dan Campbell beat him
1000%.
in the two biggest games they played.
That's true.
And at the end of the
1000%.
year, it was Dan Campbell versus Kevin O'Connell for the number 1 seed, and Dan Campbell won that game decisively. I think it's just tough to, I mean, Campbell gets shut out of I mean, did we mention a Lion at all in any of these awards? Like, that's ridiculous.
No.
They should have won the award.
Ben Johnson got assistant coach of the year. He left.
Yeah, whatever that fucking means. That's the first time I heard that award. But yeah, you're saying like think about it. Like the Lions lost Montgomery for weeks. Their entire defense got gutted. They were putting together, and they
10
still
starters.
maintained it to number 1 seed, and they still faced O'Connell and beat him with all that stuff. So yeah, I think this is the only really word that kind of like pissed me off a little bit, because I think it's a joke.
Yeah, I had issues with this award too. I'm right there with you, Quig. I thought it should have been Dan Campbell. I also thought Dan Quinn should have had a little bit more of a push for what he was able to do to turn a complete franchise around, and that's been under such disgrace under Snyder for so many years, that then to be able to come back and take a 4-12 team or whatever their record was last year and make them to what they were this year was an excellent job by Quinn. I thought Harbaugh should have deserved a lot more love, be able to do what he was able to do. But yeah, I definitely disagree with this award, BA.
I think this was the one that got the most controversy.
Yeah. So this is I want to say this because I know race unfortunately plays a thing into this. I want to say this real quick. If you're gonna give All Pro to Lamar Jackson, which he rightfully deserves, and then you're going to give MVP to Josh Allen, and we're basing this off of valuable, because that's what a lot of these cats were doing that were voted for him. I have an issue with that, because you take Lamar Jackson out of the Baltimore Ravens, they are not the same team. You take Josh Allen out of the Buffalo Bills, they're not the same team. We can have this conversation, and two things can still be right. Like that shouldn't be the decidal factor of why Josh Allen won. Lamar Jackson had better numbers across the board, and I know, Brian, you don't like him because he's a running quarterback, but regardless of the fact, he was the best passer this year by stats. He had 41 passing touchdowns. No, and he also had the most total yards. His EPA was the highest of the highs. His PFF was highest high, since you and I are advanced metric guys. He's everything across the board. You know what the problem is, though? And I don't blame the voters for this. The problem is that the voters, they fucked themselves because they gave him MVP last year. MVP last year should have been Dak Prescott. And the reason why they gave him MVP, because he was 14 in this or whatever the case may be. Who cares, dude? Your stats play a factor into MVP. Your record does, and how you play the game. You screwed yourselves by giving him MVP last year, because he broke all those numbers that he won last year with. He broke them all. And now you have a situation where you have this. So this was really a bad call by the voters. It really was. It should have been Lamar Jackson, or it should have been Saquon Barkley. I had Josh Allen third.
I mean, I think you're pretty spot on with that. And when you finished up there, Drew, and coming at it's fatigue. It's Jordan fatigue. It's LeBron fatigue.
Yeah.
Jordan should have been the MVP every year he played, after like 1991 and, whatever. LeBron, whatever. It's just that it was just like, it was like, okay, now it's Josh Allen's turn. Like Lamar won it twice. It's Josh Allen's turn. And that's what it is. We knew this 8 weeks ago, right? We knew 8 weeks ago that Josh Allen was going to be the MVP. Lamar was still putting up great numbers. And, it's supposed to be a regular season award, right? So, and all that other nonsense. So even if Lamar got to the Super Bowl, it still would have been Josh Allen's award. And that's what it is. It's just Josh Allen's turn. I think that's what it is, right? Because okay, let's not fool ourselves. Lamar Jackson isn't the most valuable player in the NFL. Neither is Josh Allen. The guy playing today is the most valuable player.
Kansas City? Oh, yeah.
So that's another thing, too.
Sure.
So we're not even having this conversation because you take the
If he had the
Mahomes off the
stats,
Chiefs, and they're not making the playoffs. So that's really the most valuable player. And it's not Saquon.
That
either.
defense, that Kansas City's defense would hold a lot of weight.
See, but
are they better than Denver's defense? Are they better? We're talking about it's tough.
So
it's close. It's close.
A couple things here. So to me, again, this is just me speaking out loud, my own opinion. I attribute a lot of what Barkley has done to how good that offensive line is. I'm just a believer in that with running backs, right? So he's the same player he's always been. He's just getting protection out of the Giants.
You're 100% right, Brian. You're 100% right.
So I can't give it to him. I can't, right? And again, the funny thing about the numbers
go ahead. I'm sorry, Brian.
The funny thing about the numbers that Saquon has is it was when the Eagles were 2-2 and they were having Jalen Hurts throw the ball a bunch of times, they realized really quickly that, you know what, the less we ask this guy to do, the better off we are, which is what resulted in Saquon getting the ball more often. So really, Saquon's production is directly correlated to the fact that Jalen Hurts stinks.
Saquon's not new either, Brian. That's the thing. It's not like Saquon's is in his third year. He came up with the Eagles. He's in his third year now. He developed into some great running back. Saquon's been great for years, and he hasn't been able to do it because he wasn't in the situation to do it. And now he's having a great season. Listen, was Chris Johnson the MVP, CJ2K? No. Great running back, great seat, everything like that. Saquon, this is the first time Saquon ever beat the Cowboys. You know what I'm saying? Saquon's achievements are a direct more to the team than Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, all these guys that I think deserve it more than Saquon.
Yeah, I disagree with you guys because if that's the case, I understand where you're getting from. Saquon's always been great, and I understand that. But yes, this offensive line is his best offensive line he's ever had in his career. Yeah. I get that. And we also got to take into account
best offensive line, everything.
Probably the best offense he's ever been a part of, and not probably is the best offense he's ever had. But to say that you can implement somebody at running back and they would have that success or even remotely close to that success, I disagree with you. Because DeAndre Swift could never do that. I mean, the
Eagles run the ball exceptionally well year after year, right? Again, if you take out really big home run plays from, I'm just being honest, the production is the production. It's how much they choose to run.
Are you just going by averages?
Yeah, Saquon had a very Barry Sanders like year in regards to he made some really home runs. He made some really highlight films. He made some plays like that, and he also made some plays that the fucking holes were so big that, it was phenomenal to run through. So listen, Saquon was phenomenal this year on every level, but he's been phenomenal. And I don't think that he is, I don't think what he did. Yes. And I do think there's other backs playing currently in the league that could do what he did. You've seen what Derrick Henry did in a better situation in Tennessee, Jahmyr Gibbs, phenomenal, nice, good line in Detroit, not as good as the Eagles. He would have lit it up.
Really? You don't think Detroit's Lions as good?
What's that?
You don't think Detroit's Lions as good?
I think the Eagles have a better offensive line. It's a good line. Detroit's is a good line, but I think Eagles is better.
Would you consider it top 5?
Detroit?
Yeah.
Offensive line? Yeah, phenomenal line, but that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
If Jahmyr Gibbs had the workload and everything as Saquon, he's put up very, very good numbers. The tush push that Brooks just said, also a good point. I see listen, you got a back like Saquon. There's no reason to do the tush push all the fucking time that they do. It's just not. And there were some times there that Saquon deserved to get those touchdowns. He got them down to the 2-yard line, 3-yard line. He deserved it. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and that's another thing too. He didn't hit the 20-yard, touchdown mark.
But quick to my point though, and not to interrupt you, but to my point, that's what I'm saying though. Jalen Hurts had, like Brian keeps on insinuating, and which is true, this is his worst passing performance since his rookie year. Like that has to give Saquon some credit to be able to do what he was able to do and have a lot of win shares on his side, because yes, those holes are big, but it's the fact that it's Barkley being able to do all those tools and be able to do everything. The only issue I have with him is his catching ability. And he's still a great pass catching running back, but he's not, he's not LT, I guess I would say. He's not Adrian
No.
Peterson in a
He's
sense.
not. Listen, McCaffrey does.
McCaffrey, there you go.
Come
That's
on,
a great one.
McCaffrey in this Eagles offense this year.
I
mean,
1,000% agree with you.
that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of backs that would have been
That's a good
successful, and
point.
I'm not taking
That's a good
anything against Saquon. He's a great back. I just think that I agree with the voters in the general consensus that running backs in a situation like this isn't the MVP.
That's a fair point.
Here's what hurts Lamar. It is perceived, and I agree, that there is more around Lamar than there is around Josh. That if you remove Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills, they might win 4 games. That's how impactful he is to what they do. There were, again, I don't give a shit about Pro Bowl either.
But they acted like Josh Allen put up 40 touchdowns.
There were 2 Pro Bowlers on the Bills, him and Deion Dawkins, right? You look at Baltimore, there were 9.
If you put,
I think Derrick Henry's year torpedoes Lamar's MVP.
Listen, the bottom line is they both got screwed by tight ends anyway. So,
but my point is, I really think that Buffalo is Josh Allen. That's what Buffalo is. Buffalo's Josh Allen.
I agree with you on that point.
I think how they built their team around Josh Allen as far as meaning like everything. But they were successful this year because of James Cook's emerging, and their demise was because they went away from James Cook. So that's a big factor. And you want to say Lamar Jackson is a rushing quarterback. Listen, Josh Allen, when it comes down to it, he's a running quarterback too in a lot of aspects.
They're both the same.
They're
both the same. Quick.
You got to give Baltimore credit for going out and recognizing that they need to put other talent around them.
1,000%.
If Buffalo's
you ever been to Buffalo, Brian?
If you pick up Buffalo right now and drop in the NFC, they're in Super Bowl every year.
With who?
No, they're not. They're not
like without Josh Allen or with Josh Allen.
As they are.
They are
already in the AFC.
I understand that. If you put in the NFC,
if they're in the NFC, they're not far and away better than Philly. They're not far and away better than Detroit.
In a playoff game, I'm taking them.
Brian, if you thought let's say the Buffalo Bills are playing the Eagles today, you picking the Bills?
Yes.
Oh, I think the Eagles are going to. I think the Eagles are going to destroy them.
Drew, I'm a quarterback guy. I have absolutely no faith in that quarterback at all. None.
I like the Eagles in that matchup.
You don't need the quarterback
because I think the Eagles' run defense.
I'm a quarterback.
I think the Eagles' run defense is more comfortable with stopping James Cook than it is. I mean, that's the thing. And Allen doesn't have a lot of targets around him.
No, he doesn't. That's what I'm saying. Like so that's why he's an MVP because
the Eagles' secondary is pretty solid, right?
Yeah,
the D-line's pretty solid.
Yeah, Josh Allen was struggling in this game. And they have no anchor on a D line.
I'm not an Eagles cheerleader, and neither's Drew, but
no.
AI Jennifer, I'm saying no.
Win. Is this Chat GPT Jennifer Smith?
Potentially. We'll see. Well, guys, that wraps it up.
All right, good.
Good luck to your team as long as your team is Kansas City tonight.
Good luck to your box. Good luck to your box pools. Let's get some winners.
If you're betting heads, I hope you win. I have some money on heads.
Tails never fails, buddy.
It's been a fun year. Hopefully we can fill it back up again for next year. We'll be in touch over the summer. Not sure if we're doing a draft show this year. I will not be around for the draft, so if anybody wants to take over, you're welcome to. I guess that tells you where I need to.
I'll be out of town.
The draft always coincides with my men's basketball league playoffs. So,
what you switch off the MVP talk? Do the Eagles recognize how KC stopped Buffalo on the push? Do the Eagles fake out of it and toss them to Saquon instead? They could try it.
I would love to see something like that, like the variation of the tush push all year. Like I said, I'd like to see Kansas City do it, more of a direct snap right between the guy's legs to Mahomes because they run it a little bit differently. They should run other things out of it to make it even more effective. So, absolutely.
But it's been fun. We'll try to do it again next year. Keep up with the page. Keep supporting the page. We love you guys. Join Outside the Box, where I attack Eagles fans mercilessly on a daily basis.
Don't make Brian Atard send you a box of dicks.
All right. Peace.
See you guys.